Friends, man. You love them. Sometimes they freaking piss you off. But regardless of the situation, if you're really their friend, you got their best interests in hand, man. This happened last school year. I can't even remember what month this was or at what point last school year. But last school year, I was having a conversation with one of my friends. They were telling me about a situationship that they're currently in. And this is someone who I had their best interest in my mind. So I wanted to affirm them to make them feel good about their situationship. And throughout the conversation, they were saying a good amount of things that I was disagreeing with. But nonetheless, because they're my friend, I felt like I needed to affirm them. And I needed to push them further in what they're saying. And there was a bit of cognitive dissonance going on here. On one end, there was the knowledge of what I should be saying. But at the same time, I cared so much about their feelings that it was like, hey man, we're just gonna tell them what makes them feel good here. That's the topic of this video, bro. False affirmations. Being afraid to tell those who we are close to the truth, but instead telling them what they want to hear, what makes them feel good. This is very prevalent in the world we live in. I think one thing people often ask me is like, why do I choose to study philosophy? And one of the main reasons why I do so, bro, is because philosophy is rooted in reason. It doesn't necessarily care about how you feel, which I'm not saying feelings are to be negated, but it doesn't care about how you feel. Rather, it's on the path to truth via reason. And the reason I bring this up is because we live in a world where feelings are prioritized more than anything else. And again, there's nothing wrong with feelings, but I think this has been exaggerated to the point where we often compromise what is true, what is obviously reasonable, what should be said, because we care so much about how someone feels, you know what I mean? When many times speaking the truth might not make them feel good now, but in the long run, it'll be beneficial. And false affirmations vary, there's a situation I brought up where someone is doing something that clearly goes against what you believe or what is obviously wrong, yet we support them, we affirm them because we want to be nice or make them feel good. But there are other situations when it comes to group settings, when you don't want a group of friends or a group of some kind to feel bad, so then you falsely affirm. You start blowing up people's heads and making them feel good when there are other avenues to get to betterment, you know what I mean? And again, this is all rooting in not wanting to hurt people. Well, that's one place is rooted, I think. Not wanting to hurt people, not wanting to make people feel bad about themselves. But the other place where it comes from, bro, and maybe this is even bigger, is the fear of us being rejected. We don't want to say oftentimes what is true in a group setting or to our friend because we don't want to be rejected by them. Someone who we're close to, someone who we've known for a while, we have a fear that by speaking the truth, by speaking what we truly believe, they're going to cancel us or just not care about us anymore. Or even on a bigger scale, think of that same thing, but on a bigger scale. Think of like a celebrity or somebody who's popular, famous. Like, they don't want to say these things out of fear of mass cancellation, bro. And I think that's a relatively reasonable fear, you know what I'm saying? As humans, we naturally want to be liked and loved. So to even have the idea that by speaking your truth, you could be canceled, that could be very threatening to a lot of us. But the issue I have, bro, is when we bring forth these false affirmations or these untruthful realities and we compromise what it is that we truly believe, bro. Like, again, in my situation, I knew and I believed that the way this person was going about things was wrong. That knowledge was within me, and I have my set of morals and values that guide me to that position. But at the same time, cognitive dissonance exists in that I don't want to hurt their feelings. So yeah, while I'm not hurting their feelings, I'm hurting my own self in a way, you know what I mean? Maybe not directly psychologically hurting myself, but I'm hurting myself in a way. And that's because I'm compromising my values. I'm compromising the things that I stand behind and who I am. When it comes to false affirmations, bro, I think it's a short-term picture that we look at again. We don't want to make this person feel bad now, when in reality, maybe you speaking your truth might make them feel a certain way now, but in the long run, you might be helping them, man. You might be saving a brother or a sister's life, bro. Like, imagine some relationship advice, bro. You go and tell the person what they want to hear and they end up getting into a toxic situation. Imagine if you replace that with what actually needs to be said. Yeah, they'll be hurt, but you just save somebody possibly years of toxicity and just a terrible life in general, bro. I'm not saying I'm freaking not guilty of this, you know what I'm saying? I've done this in the situation I described in many other places, but I think the more and more like for lack of a better word, fake this world seems to be getting, the more and more false affirmations that I've given to people, that I've seen other people give to their friends, or just on a mass level, the more and more I want to get away from this, bro. So the question then, I think, is how do we affirm our friends, or how do we give advice that's going to be helpful and, you know, regulate feelings to a certain degree? I think there are two things we need to realize. For one, sometimes you can't really avoid saying things that are going to make people feel a certain way, negatively at least. Sometimes it's just true that the truth is cold, the truth is hard, and the truth hurts, bro. But in those situations, I think what's important is the intention. When we're in these conversations with people who we need to tell the hard truth to, without sugarcoating anything, I think it's important we preface these conversations with language like, oh, I'm not saying any of this to hurt you, or just preface it with something that shows that your intention is to help them rather than demean them, to help guide them rather than put them down, you know what I mean? So that way, when you do say the harsh things, the things that have the ability to hurt, they at least know that it's coming from a place of genuineness, and it's kind of inevitable that they have to say those hard things. And secondly, I would say, after setting your intention, it's about how you say what it is you want to say, bro. And I'm not saying like beating around the bush or sugarcoating. I'm saying, you know, choosing appropriate yet effective and meaningful words to convey what you mean. For example, like if you have a friend who's about to get into a toxic relationship, instead of saying something like, I think you're stupid, or you're an idiot for getting into that relationship, you can switch it up a little bit and say, I think it might not be the greatest idea for you to go into this relationship because of X, Y, and Z reasons. Again, there are freaking millions of examples of situations like this where you can better choose the words that you want. This way, by doing this, you're not lying to your own self by, you know, neglecting who you truly are, and you're helping the person in the long run. And you know, if they're a true friend, if they're a real one, and if you're a real one, man, they'll know that you're coming from a place of genuineness. And you know, I think it should be relatively smooth sailing from there. Because man, I'm not gonna lie, I just hate that so much, bro. We just live in a world again where people are just saying the things that are socially right or acceptable. Not everybody, of course, but it is very prevalent to where people are saying things that are socially acceptable, but that are clearly reasonably wrong. Friendships are built upon foundations of false affirmations rather than true and genuine real ones, bro. So yeah, man, hopefully this video was helpful in some way. I just wanted to talk about this because this is one of those social phenomena that just, it's interesting to, we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, man, keep grinding, y'all, and I'll see y'all in the next one.